Well, I see the reunification of media and creative. We certainly integrate that into our process at Droga 5. We have media thinking up front to help inspire the idea itself. And then once we have the idea, media thinking gets reinserted very early on. Once we start coming up with executions to see where does this creative idea lend itself to being brought to life. So that, I think that's a big focus. I think it's it's no secret. I'm not revealing anything earth-shattering, but absolutely for us and all of the great awards that we saw, the most effective papers, media thinking coming further upstream is key to creating the idea based on where people are and what their current behaviors are.
I mean, I think a lot of agencies can potentially reinvent themselves because they have to. I mean, it's the easiest way to get PR and get journalists interested is to say you're reinventing your model. And of course, the digital revolution, and it is the third industrial revolution, is changing a lot in our business. I mean, it is changing the value of our work. It is changing where the advertising revenues go. All you have to do is walk down the Croisette to see that the people with the big parties weren't the same as 10 years ago. So I wouldn't deny that the agencies have to change a little bit the way they work, but I wouldn't overdo it either. I'm a strong believer that means change, but at the end of the day, human beings remain human beings.
I think that we're moving from being advertising agency to a model that I would call creative integrated communications company. That means that we don't start with traditional way of writing a 30 seconds TV script. We start with a lot of data analysis. We are media agnostic. We look for insights that can fuel creativity, and we start with developing idea platform that is big enough to effectively communicate with consistency what the brand needs to communicate, what business needs to communicate to people and with people across multiple contact points. So in this sense, our model is changing.
When we start with anything that we're doing, we obsessively focus on the problem that we're trying to solve for the client, and in concert to that, what are the metrics of success that will help us know that we've accomplished that. And for us, the metrics of success come into three buckets. One is cultural currency, which again, you can very easily understand and very easily monitor. The second is brand impact of some kind. Usually we have research methodologies already on our client businesses. If not, we can do something quite easily and quite nimbly. And finally, business results, which again, we should, those are the three buckets that we talk through and we get very specific to the problem. So I don't think it changes what we do. I think it changes maybe the way we approach research, perhaps more nimble sometimes than we were, constant social listening, constant monitoring of the role that a brand can and should be playing in somebody's life, rather than just the tick, tick, tick awareness went up. So very different, and I think a little more, just a little more progressive in how we look at impact.
The strategy department of today is, as I was saying earlier, very different from yesterday, whatever yesterday means. It's, we are forced to, whether we like it or not, have to integrate. And integration can happen two ways, right? I mean, a big agency could probably bring in media planners, analytics people, social strategists, CRM specialists all in-house and have an integrated team. But you can also, as one of the other judges said, you can build partnerships. You don't really have to do all of it in-house. You just want to make sure that all those disciplines contribute very upstream when you start your work, as well as when you come to the back end. And some of the papers we are reading in this year's submissions kind of show that they're more than just a traditional advertising planner writing the paper. They're more sophisticated thinking and analytics that come into play. And that was good to see.
Our business is at its most interesting point of change. Okay, technology has changed everything that we do. There are so many points of conversation with consumers at one end, and there's abundant choice, and at the other end the consumer just has far more choice to avoid interruption. So I think the old model of interruption is dying, and everybody in every agency that stays with trying to create comes in an interruption mode will have a slow attrition.
I don't think agency models are changing. I think the timeless requirement of creativity is to make an impact and have an effect, and that never changes. Obviously, the means of making an impact and creating an effect and measuring an effect are changing all the time. But the fundamental truths of advertising still apply, that we're trying to create work that gets noticed, work that we can celebrate, work that we can champion as we're doing here, and work that works.